Hey everybody, welcome to another video. It's me, Parasite. I have no clue where my tripod is, so you're currently sitting leaning against a can of bug spray. But today I just wanted to sort of give my recommendations for people getting into punk, getting into hardcore, what albums I would recommend, and yeah. The first album. Well, before I get into any of that, check out my other social medias. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, whatever. I recently joined a new band. We're called The Brats. We're going to be playing a couple of shows soon. And we got some video clips up. We plan on going to the studio to record soon, too. So, check that out. But now to get into the actual video. So, when it comes to the first album, I would recommend anybody getting into punk. To me, it has to be an album that is essential, that is the epitome of what you're going to be getting into when it comes to punk. And, I had to think back to, one, what got me into punk, and what got me into punk hardcore in general. And I also have a couple of prerequisites for whatever I'm going to choose, because I'm trying to make this as objective as possible, not just my own opinion of, oh, these are the best albums. And to me, the prerequisite is it has to be an undeniably punk album. Like, not proto-punk, not post-punk, not punk adjacent. Like, it's straightforward, classic punk that you can listen to that album and have a good idea of what the genre is going to be like. And it has to embody the ethics of it, embody the culture of it, and it has to be something that every punk in the world knows. You could go to any punk and they know, if not the whole album, at least singles from the album, something that's massive in the scene. And the conclusion I came to, a very controversial conclusion, is Nevermind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols. That is my first recommendation for a punk album. And I know it's a controversial pick because how people feel about the Sex Pistols as people, and don't get me wrong, they were shitty. They were shitty people, and they were, I guess what you could say, sellouts. My light just died. They were sellouts. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they are probably the most important punk band that ever existed. Without the Sex Pistols, there would be no punk as we know it today. It would have stopped at the Ramones and the Clash. It wouldn't have went any farther. And like I said, it's something that everybody knows. Everybody knows Anarchy in the UK. Most people know God Save the Queen. And then it embodies the ethics. It doesn't inherently. I know people probably think I'm crazy for saying that because, oh no, they're punk has to be about anarchism, but really the main idea behind punk, above all else, is individualism, and that I'll do what I want mentality. The anti-establishment mentality, and individualism. That is the root of punk, the root of punk ideology. And the Sex Pistols embodied that. It's not. Obviously, there's a more positive and more negative route of approaching individualism. Like, they weren't so much about, oh yeah, individual rights. They were more the egoist route of, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. But at the end of the day, they still embodied that ethics of, I'm going to do what I want. and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. And the sound is undeniably punk. Nobody can disagree that musically that it's not punk. So then afterwards, we're going to branch out into what I consider to be the big four of punk rock. Obviously, the Sex Pistols is taking one of those seats. And then the three other ones, I'm going to recommend you branch into these three albums. That being the Ramones' self-titled album. Oh, Lord. The Misfits and the Dead Kennedys. Now, with the Dead Kennedys, I'm going to recommend Holiday in Cambodia. Misfits, that is a very difficult one because if we're being practical, then the album I should recommend is From the Old Days with Danzig, because that is the Misfits that everybody knows and loves. I personally prefer the Graves era Misfits, but with Danzig era, I'll say Earth AD. Go check out Earth AD. If you're open to checking out Graves, which I highly recommend, personally, like I said, I prefer it, I'd check out Famous Monsters. So that's the three next albums. After Nevermind the Bollocks, go listen to the Ramones self-titled, the Holiday in Cambodia by the Dead Kennedys, and either, I'll say both. Earth AD and what is that album called? I just said it. The one with Graves, damn it. I cannot remember the name of that album now, and I just said it. But those four, go listen to those four. Now, moving out of punk and getting into the broader hardcore scene, well, I guess the more narrower hardcore scene, once again, I'm going to recommend a essential album that once again encompasses all that. Undeniably hardcore, encompasses the ethics, everybody can sing it. I'm going with Damaged by Black Flag. Personally, it's not my favorite Black Flag release, but it is probably the most important, probably the most influential. The song Rise Above, everybody knows that song in the hardcore scene. So, go check that out. And then after Damaged, splitting off into the other parts of the hardcore Big Four, in my opinion, because once again, my opinion, these aren't established. I've never heard anybody really talk about a hardcore Big Four or a punk Big Four. I'm going with the Circle Jerks, the Black Flag, like I said, Bad Brains, and Minor Threat. And we already went over Black Flag, so throw that over here. Circle Jerks, the group Sex Tape, obviously. Terrific album. I love that album so much. Probably one of my favorite albums of all time. And then Bad Brains, the Yellow Album, self-titled, whatever you want to call it. And then Minor Threat, the self-titled, or the first 2 7-inches is what the other name people have for it. So that's my album recommendations. Those are the 8 albums, or 8 or 9 albums I recommend anyone who's getting into punk and hardcore listen to. So, Nevermind the Bollocks, Ramones, self-titled, Holiday in Cambodia, Earth AD. We'll just stick with Earth AD. Damaged, Group Sex, Minor Threat, Bad Brains. Those are the eight albums I recommend for anybody getting started into the punk scene. Yeah. I'm sure my opinions are going to be controversial, but that's my opinion. And I hope everybody enjoyed the video. So, yeah. Bye-bye.